I seem to have a massive problem when it comes to buying headphones. I don't really even need any new headphones, but when they release a really promising pair like this, I just can't help myself. I have these, which are the Sony XM4s, and then I also have these, which are the Apple AirPods Max. This is the first generation that still have the Lightning port connector. So it's fair to say that I don't really need any more headphones. I kind of remember back when I bought these Apple ones, I did also buy the Sony WH-1000XM6. We'll just call them XM456 now, whatever. And I remember at the time I knew I only wanted to keep one of the pairs. I decided at that time that I would keep the Apple AirPods. A lot of that was based on comfort and just the way they worked with, you know, I do use an iPhone, I do have a MacBook, and I do have an iPad. The way that it just switched between the devices was really cool. What I didn't like about the XM5s, the transparency mode, and together with the build of the headphones, you know, like compared to the Apple ones, they've got this nice cloth kind of material on the ear cups. And Sony have this kind of faux leather type stuff. It just felt very closed in on my ears, much like these ones do, which is why I was hunting for another pair of headphones anyway. The XM4 is very good, but again, just sort of sweaty and uncomfortable, and with not a very good transparency mode. These over-ear headphones to me just feel a little bit claustrophobic, I think is the word. I don't get that so much with these when the transparency mode is on. So I've seen about this magnetic clip, everybody's going wild for that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Nice feeling case. Feels similar to the ear pads on the AirPods. Okay, so obviously now we've got these out of the box. One of the first things that any self-respecting tech enthusiast is going to do is give them the smell test. Always got to smell your new electronics. That is nice. Okay, so it's time for me to go and set these things up, give them a bit of usage, and then I can try and tell you my thoughts about them. So out of the box, the sound on these is like the classic Sony tuning, which is basically quite warm, slightly bass heavy, but now with improved mid-range and vocals as compared to the XM5. For those of you who do like to tinker, there is a 10-channel EQ available within the Sony Sound Connect app, which really lets you dial in the sound to exactly how you want it. Now I know these aren't exactly audiophile grade headphones, and most people are just going to be connecting these to their phone via Bluetooth. And so there are some important sort of aspects of Bluetooth audio codecs that you should be aware of. So for me, my personal use case with these, I'm an iPhone user, so phone-wise it's just been iPhone. I do use Windows computer as well as a MacBook. So first off, you've got one called SBC, which stands for an abbreviation for something called sub-band codec. Now SBC is the standard, it's the default. So every Bluetooth device will support SBC. And then with your iPhone, you're gonna get one called AAC, which stands for Advanced Audio Codec. Apple actually do that really well. So with your iPhone, on your Mac, that's pretty much what you're gonna be getting with these. Unfortunately for us iPhone users, the highest quality codecs are only available on Android. So that does mean that the Android users are going to be able to experience a far higher quality of sound than us mere iPhone mortals. When it comes to comfort, MKBHD says these are some of the most comfortable headphones on the market.
These are just some of the most comfortable headphones to wear for a long period of time, which is what you want from these. If you wear them for a long time for traveling or for a commute or something like that, they are still awesome.
And I watched his review before I actually purchased these because he got them earlier than anybody else, and I obviously had to wait until regular folk like you and me could buy them. And so when I see someone like Marquez say these are some of the most comfortable headphones on the market. My ears prick up because that is one of the top things that I look for in headphones. I need them to be comfortable. When I'm sat there thinking I really need a new pair of headphones, which I don't, one of the top things that I'm sort of thinking about is I want to wear them for a long time. I imagine that I want to wear them all day, every day. Never going to happen, but that's what I think in my mind. I'm not going to say they're uncomfortable, but anything more than a couple of hours, you know, the cloth on the inside of the ear, or not on the inside of the ear, but on your ear, when your ear is inside the cup, and the little plastic thing that is kind of close to your ear, plus the materials, the weather's been warm and they don't allow air circulation, so you feel hot and sweaty with them. I'm going to disagree with you, Marquez. They are not the most comfortable headphones out there. With battery life, I almost wasn't even going to include it in this review because it's just so good. It's not anything different from the XM5s. Sony quote you 30 hours with the active noise cancellation on, or 40 hours with it turned off. And I mean, they do fast charging as well. You can get, I think they quote 3 hours from about 3 minutes worth of charge if you ever were in sort of an emergency and needed that. So yeah, I mean, battery anxiety is just something you're not going to get with these. Now, one feature that I was particularly interested in when I was looking to buy these was one that they call cafe mode. So basically what cafe mode is like a more tinny, stripped down version of your song. What it's supposed to do is kind of emulate you sat in a cafe and you're just listening to the background music. So it seems like it's further away than right sort of up in your face, straight into your ears, and it does a good job of that. It's quite a nice way to listen to music if you're just, you know, whether you're a student or you just got some work to do and you just want to get out there and have a little bit of background ambient music. Yeah, I think I think they've done it really well, and yeah, it's a good feature to have. Now, you can't review a pair of noise cancelling headphones without actually talking about the noise cancelling feature. Now, Sony have even paid a little bit extra and done the specific testing required to say that these are the best noise cancelling headphones on the market. Great, okay, I don't think any of that really matters. All that matters to me is real world usage and how they actually perform. So I'm going to take these to the gym now, which I think is going to be the place where I would most likely use this kind of headphone, and it's going to be the ultimate test of the noise cancelling. So we'll see how it performs. Catch you in a bit. Now, when I went to the gym in these, I said to the wife who comes to the gym with me, I handed her my phone and I said, you know, capture a little bit of footage so that I can put that in my YouTube video. It'd be a cool little bit to show, you know, I do leave the house and I have been out and I wear them out and about, and I wore them in the gym. But I'm not the kind of person who wants to be seen whipping his phone out, recording himself in the gym. So I said to the wife, just, you know, try and be a bit discreet, just try and capture a little bit of footage. And so she becomes some sort of camera ninja, right? And she ducks down beside this machine. There's another couple working out like right beside her, and she's now crouching down with the camera, you know, phone with the camera on, pointing it at me. And I look back on the footage and it barely even looks like I'm wearing headphones. You see the back and there's just me with me pasty little white legs. And virtually no headphones. Brilliant. And then not only that, right? Because she's gone all ninja style, crouching down, because I've said to her, you know, don't make a scene or anything, you know, don't make it obvious. So because she's now crouching down by a machine with the camera going, everyone in the gym's cottoned onto this, and they're all looking at her, going, well, she's pointing the camera at him, what's going on here? So then I took the camera and then I just did a little bit of footage of maybe her wearing the headphones in the gym. So there's that anyway from that experience. But nevertheless, these perform really well in the gym. If you are a fan of this style headphone and you would wear them at the gym, you will not be disappointed in these. They block out all the gym's music, they block out all the grunts and groans from people in there, and yeah, noise cancelling for the gym, fantastic. So yeah, really good. And because I am just so rock and roll, I obviously need noise cancelling headphones for mowing the lawn. Working from home as I do, I'm regularly blessed with the sound of music, although not always from my headphones.
Ooh, one step to the right. It's not oh, you always thought was right. You sing it. Ooh. You don't know it. This ain't Texas. Ain't no hold up.
No.
Lay your cards down.
Definitely another thing that I use the noise cancelling for is, as you'll come to see on my channel, we're going to be doing some programming, coding, that kind of thing. And so I'll be listening maybe to tutorial, because I am stuck in tutorial hell. We're going to try and get out of that as well, together, you and me. Quite often I've got to do it and I've got children in the background and there'll be noise and whatever, they're all playing with their friends, shouting, screaming, whatever. So I was kind of hoping that, you know, like with the noise cancelling, there's not just noise cancelling, they work to block out different frequencies. And one thing that they all do really well is like the low droning sound. So a washing machine, a dryer, a hair dryer, machinery, airplanes, whatever, those kind of sounds. All of these do a fantastic job, and these really do a fantastic job. It's you put these on, you turn the noise cancelling on, and those machine noises are just gone. What I find they don't do so well is blocking out the sound of voices, because, and especially children, because they are higher pitched sounds. And yes, they turn the volume down on them, but you can still hear them, which I suppose, you know, if you're trying to be a good parent, that is a good thing as well, because you shouldn't really completely block out the sound of your children, just in case, you know, they might need you, they might be in trouble. I get that. But, so you can still hear your children through these with the noise cancelling on. One of my daughters, we travel in the car, she's got her headphones on, she seemingly can't hear anything else in the world. You'd be talking to her and you're completely ignored. And yet if I've got my headphones on at the same time, I can hear her singing as if I've got nothing on at all. I haven't yet, as I sit here and record this bit, I haven't yet tested them against my daughter's singing. So I'm going to try and do that and include that in this video at some point. And I'll report back to you on that, but that will be an ultimate test actually, to see how good it is. But AirPods don't block out my daughter's singing.
What are you doing?
Keep singing.
No.
This is my YouTube video. Got to prove that my headphones can block out your sound. Unfortunately, the answer is no. These do not block out the singing, which means I guess I'll still be buying more headphones. I've waffled on an awful lot, probably too much. I'm going to have a lot of fun when I try to edit this video. So with all that said, what is the final verdict on these? Do I recommend that you buy them? Who are they actually for? Are you upgrading? You know, what's the scoop basically? I would say if you already own a high-end pair of noise cancelling headphones, and I'm thinking, you know, the XM5s, the previous version, the AirPods Max, something like that. I've never tried any by the Sennheiser or the Bowers & Wilkins. I hear they're very good. If you've got something like that, then you probably don't need these. If you've got the spare money to spend, you know, 400 quid here in the UK and you want them, you're going to be happy with them. They're really nice. I like them. But for me personally, because I've got the AirPods Max, I won't be keeping them. If I didn't have the AirPods Max, they're a winner. I really like them. Can't really fault them at all. Yeah, there's a couple of little picky bits that you could say don't work in their favor. The worst thing, if I had to pick something, is the comfort thing that I discussed with the, you know, that bit that touches on my ear. I don't particularly feel like I've got the biggest ears in the world, and so I feel that that shouldn't really be an issue that we're talking about, but there it is, you know, that bit sort of presses on my ear, and over time it's uncomfortable. If you're in the market for your first pair of headphones, I would definitely recommend them, especially if you're an Android user. If you own the Sony XM4s, I do think these are a worthy upgrade, worth spending the money. And mainly I say that from a connectivity standpoint. It's 2025 now. I think a lot of us use more than one device, and these do the multi-point connection thing really well. The Sony XM4s, my biggest problem with those was it was just horrible trying to go from my iPhone to my computer and back. It's a small thing, but it really overall makes it a less enjoyable experience to use the headphones, especially for my use case where I am constantly switching between devices. These solve that. In a lot of ways, I actually prefer these over my AirPods Max. Battery life being a big one, the fact that I've got a power button, I can turn them on and off, the fact that I've got a 3.5mm headphone jack, which allows me to use them if the battery is run out, or what it's especially good at is now that I'm doing sort of YouTube, I can plug these into my computer and there's no latency, there's no delay in the sound. So when you're trying to edit the piece of video together with the sound, if you were doing that with Bluetooth, then your final video, you'd find that the sound was all off. You might get people, you know, when the mouths and the sound aren't in sync, really bothers me. And so with the wired connection, you avoid that. Now the only other thing that I didn't really like about these, and again, it's not a sort of, what's the word?
A few moments later.
Deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker, but really I don't like the touch controls. Every time I go to adjust it on my head and it's sensing my hand, so then it's doing stuff, and then I can never really remember the gestures. It's fairly intuitive, I get it right most of the time, but you know, like what they've done with the power button, it's a good solid click. But yeah, with the touch, you can skip through. It's, you know, you got it on like that, you go like that, forward through the track, backwards through the track. It works, it's just not my preference for controls on headphones. I don't know why. It's mainly, I guess, just the false activations when I'm adjusting it or moving it and it's doing stuff and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? So yeah, I just don't like that. I don't really know what to suggest to do otherwise, because then you add like too many buttons as well and that could be a bad thing. As I say, not a deal breaker, just it's a point there that I didn't enjoy the touch control so much, although they work and they're fine. Right, so that's it for this one. About wraps it up. That's my first, would you call it a review? I've tried to make it kind of review-like. It's my first ever review, and it's probably going to be the first video that makes it onto this channel. So if anybody ever even does find this video and actually watches to this point, well done and thank you. Put any comments down below to see whether you liked it, didn't like it, what you think I missed or what you think I can do better next time, because I want to do more of this kind of thing, where I try to give, you know, an open, honest opinion of a real world user on these things who's really just not trying to sell you anything, but just trying to give you, you know, an open, unsponsored view on these products that these technology companies kind of warp into our minds and tell us that we need. So yeah, thank you very much if you watched, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.